We should have audio now.
Can you hear us, dear visitors?
Yeah, both Sebas and me.
Can you hear us?
Ah.
Crazy says yes, and he says first. No, you weren't first, I was first. Nice.
Would not be a stream without Crazy here. Yeah.
So now I'm in the picture.
Cool.
Robot. Hey, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, good evening. It was a special weekend this weekend. I spent a lot of time on my presentation and dropped by on a CTF. There was no stream on Saturday because of ETH0, and I even had to make my own wristband. So this is it.
Yeah.
Can you tell a little bit about it?
Oh yeah. Well, it's probably preaching to the choir because I'm assuming most people on the stream watching right now also are part of the ETH0 group. But ETH0 was our first live event instead of our regular yearly event called ETH0. And it was just a weekend full of, it's actually still ongoing, full of friends hanging out together, cooking, eating together, but watching also just videos. hacking and making, watching YouTube videos even, doing quizzes. First this year was our CTF at ctf.eth0.nl. I'm not sure if it's still up. Let me check. Because that was a funny little CTF. It was more maker focused than hacker focused. Yeah. And it was a nice set of puzzles. I think it's down. Yeah, it's down. Okay. Too bad, because it was really funny. With obscure puzzles that like you had to...
yeah, maybe I have one. Hold on.
You have something from that?
Yeah,
I have part of it because there was a piece of... there was a square, and you had to figure out some words, and it turned out you had to fold it into a crane.
Yeah.
And then at the bottom of the wings, there were 4 keywords which you had to enter as a flag into the puzzle. That was one of my highlights to discover.
Let's switch to the window view. So this is
that's the one. Yeah, that's the one.
So
yeah, you got that, and flying overhead, that should have given you the hint to make a crane out of it. Instead of just a boring star, you had to do some origami. It was that was one of the nicer puzzles. There was one with resistor color codes, which you then translated into a number, which you then translated into ASCII.
Actually, I thought, it starts with the E, so it must be ETH0.
No, it was easy.
And the hint was this is to ... And the
title
itself.
The title of the challenge was is this too easy?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was fun. There was a puzzle where you had to you got an STL file. A 3D printer file, for those who do not know, which was impossible to print. You didn't need to print it, but then you had to slice it with a slicer software, and then the G code you had to analyze because there were Z values in there, which you then could convert back into ASCII to get another keyword, which was Chuck. And Chuck was also the inventor of SLA 3D printing, if I heard correctly. So yeah, it was an incredibly nice set of puzzles to play around with. There was a puzzle that fit on this, and you could either print it on paper, you could solve it on PowerPoint, you could laser cut it, you could 3D print it. There was so much there. It was that was a nice.
Never saw one before just aimed at makers. So there's a lot aimed at hackers.
Yeah.
But
and it was still it's not something the average maker would probably immediately solve, but it was a fun little challenge.
Yeah, the one with the electricity having some lights and some diodes that have a certain, so which one is going to be lit or which one is not. So it was a lot of fun. I was there partly as I was busy with other projects as well.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I was working on was a thank you thing. And this is an ID made by El Contaro on Twitter, and he had like buy me a coffee. So if you would like to support the makers, you're able to buy someone a coffee. And he made like this LED bar on his desk that would show the people that had make a donation or bought a coffee. So I thought this is a cool idea. So if people want to support the makers, that would be cool to do. But by just cloning the LED thing, that would not be very creative. But I still had this thing, so let me switch to my view webcam.
Yeah.
So this thing, and I bought this at Action, Lidl, whatever, and
some dollar store.
Some dollar store, and there was a place for a pencil in the back, and there were some lights inside. And what I did is I cut out the back, and I bought a LED strip. So this one, and this is a flexible one, and it is made by DF Robot. So it looked very cool. When I bought it, it was serial, so that was very special. So normally these would either be SPI or I2C or one wire or whatever, but this was serial, and it was aimed for Arduino. So I thought, well, that could not be that hard to migrate that to Raspberry Pi. So what I wanted to do is have a Raspberry Pi in the box. So let me. Oh, I'm able to share this here. So this is a Raspberry Pi Zero, and on top of the Raspberry Pi Zero is a audio shield by P. Maroni. It's called the Pirate Audio, and they have like a separate one of these shields. There's one with a speaker inside. There's one with headphone jacks on it, and there's one with a line out on it. This one has buttons and an LCD screen or OLED screen, I don't know. And what you can do out of the box is make it run your own stream stuff. So just play whatever MP3 is on the device itself, or link to Last.fm or to Spotify or whatever, and you can use the buttons to up the volume or skip songs. You can log into the web server and make it run. And actually the only thing that I wanted it to do is just make some odd Mario sound. So I found a thing on YouTube that had all the sounds of Mario inside. So I thought, well, just install YouTube DL to download the file, cut it in half, and then I discovered that YouTube DL was being taken down. So it was
they got cancelled really hard.
Yeah. So all the references to it were taken down. There is a movement going on Twitter where people are cloning the latest repositories in their own repository to make like
it's stupid behavior. That it's stupid on two ways. It's the RIAA being stupid for trying to take them down, which will result in two things: the Barbra Streisand effect, which will only cause people to clone this harder and make this way more known across the world.
Yeah.
And secondly, YouTube DL is not really that much of a problem anyway. All those kids bringing all those kids bringing money with their with the advertisement money will well overcompensate the few geeks who run the obscure interface of YouTube DL. There is literally no point in doing this.
No.
And yes, they're embedding it in PNGs and weird stuff like what happened with the DVD key back in the
Wear it on
that
T-shirts.
yeah, that sort of stuff. So yeah, this is just Barbra Streisand effect all over again.
Yeah.
People being stupid.
So-
and it's stupid of GitHub
Yeah.
as well. Why the hell do you just blindly take it down instead of?
Yeah, actually I got taken down as well because I had 9 videos on Twitter where I was singing karaoke to Black Eyed Peas, and that got taken down with a lot of legal language that they are going to sue me for doing like the copyright infringement on these artists. So I'm annoyed by it.
Yeah, it's
So like
it's
if
sad.
I'm cloning music, selling music, but this is like
Fight
having fun.
fight the pirates, not the open source tools.
Yeah,
It's the same reason that we can't have nice open source tooling. People taking down their own open source tooling because of the pirates,
yeah,
and it's sad.
yeah. So in the end, I managed to take it down using another tool found on the internet. So I cut it in parts using Audacity. Installed it on the device using the initial Git repository that was on Adafruit, but this installed like a complete version of Windows on my Raspberry Pi. So there's no point in having Spotify integration. I am just saying Windows, but like a lot of files were being installed, a lot of tools, a lot of stuff needed to be made to turn this into a multimedia jukebox system. And the only thing that I want to do is have this speaker play the music. So in the end, it was just a couple of lines, and I was able to use audio play to address the I2S audio module that was on this device. So that was the first one, and I will be able to show you the audio later. And then the second one is like make this,
The bubble.
The bubble itself was easy, so I took this one.
So at some point when you reach get a new donation in, you get probably the coin sound from Mario, guessing your theme here, and then a message scrolling along in the bubble.
Exactly.
And that's the entire plan.
And
it's
that should
two separate devices.
One device. So I did not want that would be the easy part. Then I would be like finished in 5 minutes. But I want to integrate it into the Raspberry Pi. So I first did this and used the Arduino to play it. But it turned out that I need like some black parts. Where are you? Here.
To block out the light.
To block out the light, to have like a really good and crisp view of the LEDs itself. So when you go to the library of the, let me see, should have it here. So this is the device itself. So an introduction. There's a LED.
You need to switch screens because we can't see this.
Sorry. So there's this one. So DF Robot, and they have a 7 pixel by 71 pixel, and
DFR
0597. Yeah.
Okay.
And it is 5-volt powered, and the rate is less than 5 milliamp on the brightest. So should be able to power it using USB. And there's a VCC, a ground, an RX, and a TX. and there are some functions. So there's a function to make it say DFR robot. There's a function to queue the different lines, so you have like multiple lines that you can show, like different messages. There is something here that's called cry. Don't know what it is. It's not explained anywhere. And there's you can move it somehow. So there's like constants that you can use to move it up, left, right, and all the other things. You can increase and decrease the move speed. You can increase and decrease the brightness.
So they made a whole API you can just program through Serial or something. Just say, hey, do this for me,
Yeah.
and then it will happen.
Yeah, and these are not serial commands. These are the Arduino commands. So I was hoping for like serial commands that I can use on my Raspberry Pi.
Oh, they added the library in to be a little bit more abstract for people.
Yeah. So my idea was, how about using a breadboard, connecting. So where is it?
Let me
webcam
download
view.
their code while you're doing this.
Yeah. So
I'll have a look.
take a small breadboard, use an Arduino Nano, and connect it to the Raspberry Pi or connect it to an FTDI to read whatever data is coming from this device. So this is one solution. Other one would be to tear down the library to see how that works. But I thought, well,
should be relatively simple.
Yeah, should be relatively simple. So I thought, if I am able to make the Arduino Nano send out a message, then I can record it and I can dissect it and replace it and play it on my Raspberry Pi. Would be easy. So I spent about 10 hours trying to dissect all the messages to find out at the end that I assumed the baud rate of this entire device was set to 9600, but instead it was set to 19,200. So I was listening to the wrong data, and it was sending out data, and this data looked okay.
And you were thinking, hey, this is all encrypted.
It is encrypted or compressed, or they have like a coding scheme for the letters, because you can only do letters. There's no way to address a single pixel on this device. So there is a microcontroller on board of this device that interprets the commands and then prints it into the LED drivers.
Yeah.
So after doing that and setting it to the correct one, I was able to read all the data. So I was able to read that, and I made like a. So this is the dissection of the data. So every message starts with BTO. 15, and then there's type information 1, 2, 3, 4. Then there's a null byte. Then there's the payload size in 2 bytes. Then there's the payload, which is different per function that you do, and at the end there's an XOR.
Yeah, this is a very classic protocol. You see all those LED marquees that you can buy. The old ones roughly follow a same
pattern,
the same system. So if you can figure out this, you can figure out any of them.
Okay. This was my first one. So what I what I saw was that the color code was like the first letter of the color. So instead of having like 1 for red, 2 for green, 3 for, they use the uppercase B. So by sending character 42 in hex, you have the uppercase B, which is blue, uppercase C is cyan, D is black for some reason, G is green, P is purple, R is red, and W is white, and Y is yellow. So they use letters for the colors instead of numbers themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like the number of bytes that it is sending and how they all end up. So I was able to read this, but whenever I replayed this on a Raspberry Pi, it would not function, whatever I did. And I just compared everything, I put a scope on the line, and the messages were identical. And still, it did work on the Arduino Nano, but it did not work on the Raspberry Pi.
I have a feeling I know where this is going.
Okay, tell me.
I think this is your Arduino Nano is a 5-volt device. Your Raspberry Pi, your Pi is a 3-volt device.
Yeah, but I was using this. So let me put it on the microscope.
Oh, a level shifter.
No, it's not a level shifter. It's FTDI, so it's a separate USB to serial device. So I already figured out, well, I should not use a Raspberry Pi since that is 3.3, and this one will be able to produce 5 volt, since this was my 5 volt labeled FTDI.
Yeah.
I bought this as at CCC, like a handful of these, so that they made them themselves. And I measured the ground and the 5 volt pin, and it was actually 5 volt, so worked okay. Installed it, but then 6 hours later, I measured between ground and between TX. And although the 5 volt pin actually had 5 volt, the data pins themselves had only 3.3 or 3.2 actually. So this is a 3.3 volt FTDI that I mislabeled 5 volt. So spend another 6 hours.
Oh, and the sad thing about this is that a lot of devices will actually work on the 3.3 volts, so you'll never notice until you finally have one.
Yeah.
That'll cause problems. I had the same with some LEDs on a some smart LEDs directly connected to an ESP32, and it was just 0.1 volts under the specification of the LED.
Yeah.
And with a shitty USB cable, which didn't supply an entire 5 volts to the rail, it would work. And with a proper USB-C cable on my MacBook, which would supply 5.2 volts, it would be out of spec and not connect.
Yeah.
It caused some hair pulling.
And actually, I used this FTDI the entire time to read out the data.
Yeah, but that's
that worked.
Yeah.
But sending it would not. So then I took this other device. I may be able to show it under the desk cam. So this one. And yeah, it's hard to see, but this is a device made by, what's the name? Don't know. But it's like a proper FTDI 5 volt. I measured between the TX and ground, measured 5 volt. So this actually worked. So I connected it to the device, used the same code, and it immediately worked out of the box.
Nice.
So,
yeah, I have. So this is a level shifter I built for my Snuffler project.
Yeah.
I stole it because this is the one everybody uses. It's just 2 resistors and a little MOSFET, and it'll solve so many problems. I'll
sorry.
link to it. So this is a level shifter I did for the Snuffler project, to connect an ESP32 to the LEDs. It's the same thing you would use in anything you can build with not very fast data coming through. So serial is fine. You're not doing 1 or 10 megahertz over this.
No.
But it's just 2 resistors and a cent MOSFET, really about the cheapest one you can get.
Yeah.
And then you're done. And this is on all those little SparkFun or their clones level shifters. If you go search on AliExpress for level shifter board, you'll find a board with 4 of these.
Yeah, I think I have one in my box
just
actually.
Yeah, I have several here as well. It's really cheap stuff, and it's
it really helps out. Even like doing the level shifting on special voltages. So if you're not, if you do not have a 2.5 FTDI, you can use this to make it into 2.5 FTDI on serial.
Yeah, you can convert down and up, and that's and it's bidirectional as well, so it also works for I2C stuff. That sort of thing. But the whole point is, you need to be aware of what kind of levels do your chips expect on as their input and as their output to make it work. And if you're scratching the tolerances, then it'll probably not work in production.
But I have this tile in my office which is stating assumption is the mother of all fuck-ups.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a colleague that tells me every time reading is key. And yet again I fell for it.
Same here. It happens to me every other project I do.
So I had another thing, like how can I turn...
you need to switch screens probably.
Searching for the correct one. Window view. So this is the buy me a coffee thing, where you can select coffee and people can add to it. So how can I extract the data from this page? So what I did was so this is the data that I read from the device itself. So there's like some more by echoing output.
Oh, you can grab from the web page.
Yeah.
Nice.
I am.
So there is some. So wget is to get the page.
Yeah.
Can you zoom in just a little, just a hair?
No. But
maybe.
I am able to change the font size.
That's what I meant.
Whatever. Like normal terminals would probably have a control up, control down.
On a Mac they do.
Yeah, and on Linux as well. So let's go to 30. Okay, apply.
So what you're doing is you're wget to get the page, and then where is it? Then you grab the bot lines probably or something.
So what I do is I grab the entire page, then I grab the lines that contain both. I want to have the 3 previous lines as well. So dash uppercase B is before, so 3 lines before. And then I do a set that removes all the things starting with a less than mark, then all the characters that are not a greater than mark, and then a greater than mark, replace them with nothing. So this will replace all the HTML tags and replace the 2 spaces with 1 space, turn it into into the file name. So this will be new name. I will create an MD5 hash from the previous file and from the current file. And if the previous and the current file are different, then it will show the data on screen, and it will play a sound and send it to the device itself. So I can show you all.txt. So Hans bought a coffee and Ogre bought a coffee. So if I'm running this now, coffee anyone, then it does not show anything because there nothing happened in between. So if I remove the old one and I run it again, and I zoom in on the LED strip on the table, and then I need to turn this off, so you will be able, so now it's showing the A time, so this is supposed to show the normal time, and if I run this, you hear the Mario sound, and it will send the data to the
Yeah, lovely. And this is what I really like about about Linux and the Unix before it, is that you can just have really simple tools, break up a complex problem in simple steps, and just connecting them together through pipes.
Yeah.
In your script, it's elegant to have that as a solution.
Yeah.
You don't need to do any actual programming. You don't need to write all those tools from scratch. You can just hook them up together and do stuff for you.
Yeah. The only thing that I did have to program was like the conversion to turn the Arduino thing into a Raspberry Pi thing. So this is a piece of Python that will show the different types of code that you have. It will have a calculation for the CRC at the end. It will send the ID at the top, a piece of code, and I have a set speed, a set write, and whenever you are sending a piece of code, it will send a piece of code, and if you have like a secondary argument, that might be the speed. So this will create a payload, and since it is in Unicode, so it uses 2 characters per character. So in the English language or Latin, it is Latin 1. It is 0 prefixed, but if you're doing like Chinese characters, it will be like 0235, for instance, for a special character. So I was able to fuzz it and have some Chinese characters as well. But this in fact works. So it's like, what is it? Let me go here. Word count minus lines, 45 lines of code. Oh, sorry.
You mashed the wrong button.
Yeah, 45 lines of code to put this on the screen.
Nice.
So there were some issues with the device from the start. So when I bought this at Kiwi in Den Haag, it already had 1 dead pixel, but I already saw that it was out of stock also. So whenever I pushed against the LED strip, it would lit up again. So it was lines after B before C combined. Yeah, correct. There was 1 pixel bad, and after fuzzing, the entire device did not work anymore. So I did not know what it was, but if I put the device on power, and I did not overpower it or make short circuits, it was just fuzzing it through software. It turned out that if you have it on for 10 minutes, it will show DF Robot again, like as a fallback thing. So I was about to take off the microprocessor and just clock in all the pixels myself using an Arduino. But then I thought, maybe
I know someone who can tell you that is not a job you really want to do.
I actually have the code already because I did that for a previous board that I bought on Baco Army Goods, but I never did it for RGB. But I thought maybe it is the microprocessor not being connected correctly, and watching your streams made me use a lot of flux and create a lot of mess on the back, and just heat it. And some parts had so much solder on them that they would automatically short circuit on the back of the chip itself.
Yeah.
So I need to remove some with a solder wick. Some did not have enough. There were like some misaligned chips that were like halfway and just on the outer edges of the owls. So reworked all that, cleaned it up with IPA, and the board worked again. So yeah, very happy with that. And in the past, I would just have a very tiny solder point to solder it all with their own connections, and now it's just using flux and using a normal tip with a normal heat to make it flow. And yeah, this is really
It
the
probably
solution.
went a lot faster solving the problem.
Absolutely, and it actually when I clean it up, it looks like factory made. So that's and whenever you do the soldering yourself using tiny solder joint, it looks like a complete mess because it does not have.
That's why you use the big tip and the big flux. It's so it makes your life so much easier.
Yeah, but yeah, this was just one example of an idea that you see on the internet, and then just build it yourself. You need to prepare, you need to check some stuff. I also had the tip that you were not a fan of. Let me put some. So this is the curved tip of the TS80. And I actually took it apart because it was broken to see how it looked on the inside.
Cool. Probably not much there.
No. It just looks like a regular headphone connection. And I was not able to open the tip itself, so it was just the connection to the plug itself. I do have a TS80P as well now. So
you got the nice new one.
Yeah, so I want to see what the difference is. I thought, well, instead of buying only a tip, get the new one as well. I have a spare one because I use it a lot and I'm really a fan of it. And now my next thing that I am working on is this one. So this is my pineapple that I want to address using ESP32 and the DR detector. And I went to Conrad to acquire some MOSFETs and transistors that are spec'd for I think 2-volt gate. And I never did something with MOSFETs, so I thought, well, this will be a good way to learn more about MOSFETs and see how it works. But I will probably kill someone, and since
if that's a neon tube you were just showing us, then yes, you will probably either kill yourself or kill one of your loved ones if you mess up.
A neon tube?
Neon tube, the
No, absolutely not. It's a 2-volt. I think EL light.
Oh.
So no, it's not neon. No, that's high voltage. No, let's not do that. So I think this should be doable, and maybe even using a relay. But I really want to do it using MOSFET.
Just for illustration, at RefSpace we have a neon transformer, a pretty beefy one. It's in a separate box, which is taped shut with some very big exclamation marks on it and warnings that this is not trivial stuff to unpack and use. It's scary shit to work with neon.
It is. Yeah, I've seen people working at the Elektronica Club in Hellevoetsluis, where I'm a member of, doing stuff with microwave transformers to create a lightning effect on wood by having salted water on top of it, and then having high power.
We have done that at RefSpace several times with that specific transformer. It's the reason we actually have that transformer lying around the space.
Oh, am I using?
Sound is okay though. Okay, well if people think it's okay,
Oh,
then
okay. Yeah,
at some point we should sort out the audio on the stream, Yillis.
yeah. I have.
People have been bugging us for months now already.
You have proper audio, don't you?
I don't know. I don't know how my audio
Uh, uh,
sounds for
your
people at
audio
home.
sounds perfect, but you have the equipment. Is what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well.
So I ordered some components from China, GLC, whatever. You sent me the link. Some reels with
Oh, LCSC.
LCC, yeah. So wondering how that went because yeah, Conrad does not have all the stuff that I want, and they have quite a lot. So,
LCSC is huge.
Yeah.
It's incredible what the amount of components they stock.
Yeah, when I still had a company, I used to order from Farnell. They have a lot as well. So if you want simply want a switch, then you have to find your switch in between 4,000 switches.
Yeah, but if I still have an account at Farnell,
Okay.
if you ever need something from Farnell, just ask me and I'll get it drop shipped to your house.
Ah, okay, cool.
It's
Cool.
actually one of the more shameful things I have is a Farnell account where you can have 20 cents of resistors drop shipped to you for free by UPS.
Yeah.
It's criminal.
Yeah. Well, I used to pay a lot to them, so
I
think I made up for it in the past.
Yeah, that's constantly what happens.
Yeah. So I think that's about it for tonight. It is a big pile of rubbish here.
It's ETH0 weekend. It's a mess everywhere.
Yeah, and we need to broom the stuff. So thank you for joining me. I think 45 minutes is a record for this the show. What's that?
Yeah, it's a color e-paper display I just got in.
Wow!
So it's 7 colors, and I'll be experimenting. Even. Yeah, so I'll be experimenting with that. It's not very high resolution. It's 600 by 448.
Yeah.
So, but I'm going to try it out, and we'll probably have it on stream soonish. It shouldn't be too hard to get working.
Yeah, do you know how fast it is? Is it?
I have no idea. Okay. I just saw color e-ink display, €65. Okay, I'm in.
Yeah, I can afford it.
Yeah. What I want to make with it doesn't need to be fast anyway. I love e-ink because they're nice and static.
Yeah.
So you can just have it on your wall, displaying some information like temperature, humidity, like a little dashboard, like those Grafana dashboards, but then nice and quiet on the wall.
Yeah.
So that's probably what I'm going to do with it.
And is it like 5-volt powered, or do you need more?
I have no idea yet. It has a level shifter at the beginning, so it probably can do anything.
Okay, cool. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, so that's for soon. And today I taught a 10-year-old how to solder a snuffler kit.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that's very cool. That's very cool.
Yeah, so those are coming along nicely, and I'm even contemplating a second run for it. So that's weird.
That would be cool. I think some people were too late finding it out and one.
Yeah, I have. So if you still need one, I have 4 complete kits, maybe 3. I'm not sure if someone 3 or 4 kits ready to go, and there is about 9 PCB sets, which has everything except the ESP32 and the sensors that you will still need to buy. So if you need anything, just hit me up. 9 PCB sets, so just the board.
Yeah.
And all of the smaller components are in. Let me show you. Yeah, like that.
Cool.
So there's a little bag attached with the screws and the connectors and other stuff you need. So you just need to buy some stuff from AliExpress, and you can make your own snuffler kit. And then it will look like this.
Okay.
This is a fully assembled kit.
Yeah. Yeah, just thinking about all the plastic boxes that am in my house with all the sensors on top.
Yeah, you were just finishing up that project, weren't you? With the you had all the CO2 sensors, right?
I already the CO2 sensors are already on it, and those are all connected using
It had one of those nice
Dupots.
little orange cases, right? Was
Uh,
that something else?
yeah, it's orange, yellow, blue.
Oh,
There's different ones, but they do not have the particle sensor. The particle sensor is on the M5 stack itself.
that was it. Yeah,
Yeah, and I'm using ESP 8266 instead of 32s currently.
yeah, yeah. But that's personal preference mainly.
Yeah, it was more like this is the way to go on Tasmota at that time, and now it's like more driven towards 32.
Yeah, that's also something I want to look into is esphome.io.
What's
That's
that?
uh, that's I think it's something like Tasmota, but
Yeah.
a little bit more modern, and it's basically like one of those projects. Hey, Tasmota is a cool idea, but hey, we don't like the way they did it, so we're going to do it on our own. I
Okay.
think it's something like that, but it looks kind of promising.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
have a look at that if you're.
Yeah. Yeah.
It should have all the drivers for most sensors you can probably think of anyway.
Yeah.
Cool. So
Cool.
yeah,
We'll look at it.
just over 45 minutes, Gilles. That's a new record for us.
Yeah. Let's quit it before it's another 4 hours again.
Yeah. I'm going back to ETH0 anyway.
Yeah. Thanks for stepping in. Really value that.
Yeah, cool. Hey, have a pleasant evening, everyone.
Yeah. Thanks all.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.